All right. Good evening, everybody. I was doing some typing. My time zone goes from Eastern Standard Time to UDT or whatever it is. For some reason, I thought the time was set on Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock. And then Cody's like, I think you screwed it up. I'm like, what? So I'm going a little early. I don't know if we'll have too much reception tonight, but I'm going to get this guy out for you guys if you want to come in later and check it out. But we're going to go over it. Cody's here tonight. Sharif, I didn't get back to me. I think he'll be next week or something. I got some other guys that want to come on. Anybody who wants to come on, whoever you are, big, small, whatever, want to come on for 5 minutes and do a tirade. There he is. That Dolphin Realtor. How's it? The Twitter star.
I read something different.
Let me click. I'm off this week. Oh, nice. Now you got what you got back from due to. I'm glad I made it. Oh yeah, I'm glad you. Hey, bro, what's going on? You've been listening to you all week on Twitter, man, or reading you all week on Twitter. Yeah, you're big time stuff, man. I'm glad you're here. I do have a little bone to pick with you a little bit. I think you're a little. Yeah, the whole. What do you think about what's going on with this Odell Beckham and possibly Xavier Worthy thing? I felt like you were just kind of like, we'd be okay if we don't boost our offensive line. Did I get a wrong vibe from you or what, brother? Because you think so, man. You think this off. I'm not saying I'm right. I really, I believe that the evaluation is going to play out. But do you think that if our offensive line is the way it is right now, and we got Hill, Waddle, and say Odell, you think that's enough to take us where we got to go? I'm not yet. I think. Oh man. So anyway, guys. Oh, you think it's our biggest? I must have been reading something else because I thought we were on the same team. I'm getting real concerned, brother. I really am. I feel like all I hear over and over again is you need a lot of talent in the receiving group, but you could throw bodies on the offensive line and the defensive interior. And if it's just bodies to make things go, then why can't we just throw bodies in the receiving group? Is it just that because the speed is so special? I believe you need talent everywhere. You need to spread talent out. Every unit needs to have some kind of talent. I understand the allure of OBJ or this Worthy kid. 4-2-1. I'll get into that a little bit. But man, I really believe in the offensive line. I think this is going to be an amazing chance for all of us to evaluate things because Chris Greer, his philosophy is driving everything. And if he is correct, he's going to be brilliant because he's chosen a path that no one I know is choosing as far as developing your team. And if it does, it's going to work out well for him. But if not, it's got to come back to him and not whether two is good enough or McDaniel, because I do believe that, yes, OBJ, Waddle, Hill, these are unbelievable talents, but you got to come back to the foundation. So I don't know. But anyway, that's one thing I want to talk about. I want to get into the receiving group, the philosophy. I want to get into Byron Smith-Murphy II. He's very intriguing. A lot of people pointing at him. I don't know if he's going to fall as much. The stupid, ridiculous. Oh, I know I saw you, that a realtor. You saw that ridiculous Klatt thing about accuracy and anticipation. What was that about, man? Cody, what do you think that was about? Klatt's usually pretty good. This guy.
I don't know. I think this is twice now, right? That he's put something out against Tua. Because when they said the headline was we should draft Penix, I was like, I already read this before from two other people. One of the guys from the Rich Eisen show, but no, you can make fun of Tua, say he's small, say he can't do something off script, say whatever. But here say he can't work in a timing offense. It's like that is what he was made for. So you hope it's not clicks, but how can you be a professional analyst that literally watches film and's like, yep, it was just not getting it there on time, Like
that doesn't make it. It's like that's the strongest traits he has besides his release. So I don't know. That's something I was really, really curious. And then I saw this other. What's that dude's name? He's pretty famous. He's like a weasel with his hair pulled back. He was saying the Dolphins should trade Tua to Minnesota for like the whatever their 2 picks. I mean, this is such stupid stuff. Is this what's happened to the Dolphins football media that they're gonna be talking about this ridiculousness? It makes no sense.
Just put Tua in every headline. Put Tua in every thumbnail, and people are clicking on it. You just be ultra positive, or hell, you just even bring up Tua, and people are like, "Oh, I hate him," or "Oh, I love him." He's just polarizing, and it's awesome. But yeah, it's a division.
Well, this is why I really try my best. I know sometimes I'm like not on the page with everybody else, but I'm trying to get good, like real football coverage. This ridiculousness of soap opera coverage is so annoying. I love Tua as a person. I think he's got really potential to be a quarterback. I just hate the way the media uses him and Josh Allen and the Tebow and all these guys have these built-in like strong fan bases, and they know all you got to do is just set people off. And it really is, it's destructive to the whole, football, the sports media industry. I felt like he was sincere on that take as well, which is surprising. Right, yeah. Nick Wright is definitely, yeah. Oh, he is. But I was surprised on Klatt with that. It really, I'm deep into Buffalo Trace now. I'm available for any of these. You got my info. Dolphin is a good, yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Nice.
That's great, man. Alf, you're gonna make me look dumb, man. You're like the pro. I'm the monkey guy, dude. I'm the monkey guy. Yeah, I'd love to have you on. Or give me some good class. I'd love Realtor to come on too. Yeah, he's a great guy, Realtor. I didn't really do much of the Twitter thing, and then I saw him on Twitter. He was like a big time guy, and then he came on here. He was a real nice guy, like you. I think you're, I don't want to get in a Twitter war with you, but you're a real smart guy, and I think you're really serious about doing your job, and I like that. I appreciate both you guys. So Alf, now I know you're kind of, hey, Mo Sauce, what's going on? What's going on, brother? What's your take as far as this offensive line? I know that's my tendency. I tend to get hung up on that, and I have a tendency to fixate, I guess you would say, on that. But I really think that this Odell Beckham or Xavier Worthy thing, to me, it's like it would be great. I think you would be able to do some amazing stuff, but this offense, I believe, is going to be limited. It's still going to have those flaws as it heads into these cold weather games. And I think defenses will still be able to play us the same way. It'll be a little bit harder, but do you think that this Odell Beckham or going big on that third receiver spot is necessary?
Are you asking me?
Oh, no, Alf. Alf's
okay. Yeah.
You too, Cody. What do you think? Alf's typing. You could talk.
Yeah. I think it's a luxury. His play on third down, his red zone, and the mentality that he brings, the experience he brings, he's a champion. Like, he brings that kind of. I know he got hurt in that Super Bowl, but he just elevates your team and the people around him. I just think he's in a good spot. Hopefully, health wise, mentally, physically, his life. He's cleaned up. I just think he would be a great addition to the offensive line. Yeah, obviously we need to upgrade, but here's my hope. I'm the optimist. I think we're trying to upgrade every position, and wide receivers different or no different, and so is the offensive line. But maybe the way things have fallen, the draft coming up, how free agent, maybe the O-line will get addressed. Maybe it's still on the way, and OBJ $5-6 million, maybe. Sharif,
here he is. What's going on, brother? Hey, Sharif, good to have you on, man.
Hey, how y'all doing, man?
Doing good, brother. I had a rough
great. Hope everyone is all right. I just got in from work.
Oh, awesome. No sweat. I just want to make sure you are all right and everything was cool. And guys, anybody who wants to come on, contact me, Curtis at Ace Per Head. Curtis at aceperhead.com. No, is that what is it? Yeah. Curtis at acebrand.com. So my wife's had me all week in the mountains looking for a mountain house she's been dreaming of. And my wife's like a Terminator. So I am so tired right now. I'm glad you're here, Sharif. And you can come on. Sharif, what do you think? We were talking about the receiver, the third receiver versus the offensive line. Do you view, say, Worthy or OBJ as a key thing, and do you feel the offensive line's in a good spot?
That's been a great question for the past month. What I needed to understand first is that we got Phillips coming up next year. We got Jalen Waddle coming up next year. So I think it is not what I want. It's like what's best for the 2025 and 2026 cap hit, right? So I would prefer to just go with a guy like Roman Wilson, who would probably be there at a 55 or be there maybe, later than that. But I don't think he'd be there any later than that. But why I say that is because if you were to move off of Tyreek Hill after this season, at least you have Roman Wilson and Waddle, and Roman Wilson would still be in his rookie deal. I don't want to have void years with a Beckham or void years with any type of free agent receiver, mainly because if I choose to put my eggs in the basket of Phillips or Waddle, Roman Wilson is not going to affect me. And he's a Jarvis Landry like prototype. So it's a kid that you probably want you'd probably want him. He's gonna be productive. If you watch all of the tape on Roman Wilson, college tape on him. So that's kind of the direction I would go in, because I still would need my eggs to put into Phillips or to put into Waddle if I choose so. But if I get a free agent wide receiver who I'm gonna have to connect void years to, that's going to hold me back from locking up some of my players.
I think it's going to be a 1-year deal. I don't think it'll be anything more. I think he's I think it would be a 1-year deal if they went out and got him. But did you hear that he said he would sign for cheaper if they would sign Jarvis Landry to the same team? That almost got me. That almost got me. I was like, I might do that just to see Jarvis back. I love Jarvis.
You read the report that those guys are taking less. The guys were taking less to come to Miami. Those free agents. Drew Rosenhaus said that. Like, I really haven't heard that for a while. I heard that in New England, and guys wanted to win, so they'd come and they'd take less to come play with Brady. And I thought, dang, these guys are getting comp picks. People are coming for less. Brady's playing for a good contract. Like, New England was smart with their money, and I think players want to come play in Miami. Maybe Hard Knocks had a lot to do with it. They got the exposure. People saw what was going on in the locker room, but that's awesome that players want to come here and take less money like that. That's a sign that we're not the same franchise we were, 5 years ago. So,
I mean, that's a great point. Sorry, I was typing. I gave you two things at once.
All right.
There's a lot of guys that are saying that they're willing to come here for less. And that is something we haven't seen in a long, long, long time. And that's a great sign, But for me, okay, so I think we're at 10 million now, 11 million, and we're going to get another 18 with Howard. So if we sign OBJ, that's great, but that's 10 million that we can't roll over to next year. I believe that we can roll money next year. And, you look at how many teams have Hill and Waddle? We got Craycraft back. Easy, we drafted. This guy's got Easy, Tyndall, Cam Smith. These guys have to show something this season to really help us out. OBJ would be amazing, but this to me, if OBJ means you're going to go get an offensive lineman with that 21st pick, then I'd be down with it.
Yeah, there you go.
But I just don't think you can pass your way to a Super Bowl. I think, that I think you need to have balance. Honestly, this is 2016 all over again. This better work.
Or a damn good defense to.
Yeah.
When it comes to, number one, right, we have to understand that, and shout out to Alf Ortega, one of the great knowledgeable Dolphin fans in this community. Um, but when I think about, um, you know, I'm not just going to take comp picks for Waddle or Jalen Phillips. I want to sign a couple of these guys in this coming season. Yes, Christian Wilkins, you had to let him go. You came up on Chubb, you came up on Ramsey, and you came up on Tyreek's deal, hurting you in order to sign Christian Wilkins or Robert Hunt. I don't want that to happen with my Waddle or my Phillips. So for me, I don't want OBJ. I'm just going to say it right here. I would rather get Roman Wilson, or I'd rather have a younger receiver, or even Easy E. Don't get a receiver at all and see if Easy E can step up in camp. The reason being is because, look, man, Greer just. I won't be happy if Greer doesn't sign any of our guys, and I don't want to be. It's going to be a 1-year deal, but it's still going to be a deal with void years in the back of it, right?
What do you mean
so
by
my
that?
No, I think void deals, I think, are only for, so if you sign a multi-year deal, it is a point.
So if it's going to be a 2-year deal for OBJ, or a 2-year somewhere around that,
I think it's going to be one. I think he's on a 1-year deal every year from going
you think he's going to take a minimum 1-year
I don't think
deal?
he has. No, I wouldn't say minimum. I think he's going to look to get. I mean, this is just me. I'm no, whiz kid on this stuff. My personal opinion, I had said 9 to 10, and now I hear he's looking for 11.5. But he's on. That's what they're saying. I don't know. I think he's going to get a 1-year deal. He got a 1-year deal last year with the Ravens
for 15, I think, though.
Yeah, and so I don't know. We'll see. He said he'd be willing to take less if they would sign Landry. I don't know. Oh wait, we got a new guy. Hooked up Joe's over here. We got a team here. I feel like this is becoming like the Brady Bunch. Joe, what's going on, brother?
We got the 90s, early 2000 logo.
Welcome.
Yep. How you doing? Long-time fan. I've been watching you forever. I'm glad to see you're evolving into the live and now some panel shows. It's great. And I know Sharif from all over the place. So
that's
nice to be on.
Yeah, it is, man. I really appreciate all you guys taking the time out, answer these comments, come on the show. I don't. All I do is take care of my children, work, and hang out with my wife. So I love to be talking face to face with people that I have so much conversations with. So that Joe, what's your take? Give me your overall vision of the Dolphins currently right now.
Oh, I'm happy with where we're at, considering where it looked like when we were going into this offseason. It looked like, especially right at the very beginning, it looked like a deep dive into despair, and now it's looking. I'm loving how we're setting up for next year, and we are having what you might call a dip year, but I call it more like a year where we're doing what we need to do, and that's get some mid-level talent, create some depth, and use our coaching staff to develop players, and become less of a top-heavy team and build the middle. And this is our kind of build the middle year, and still be able. I think we're still going to compete and succeed.
Would you see our record? Well, guys, Sharif, Cody, and Joe, what do you see our record being? It's you can't really actually gauge it because the draft, I think, is going to be played. It's sort of a critical role. But what do you see our record being this year?
Sharif, why don't you take
loosely?
Yeah, you go first.
Oh boy. Wow. I really, I'll say 11 wins, but I'm sure I'll have a different take after the draft and the second round of free agency. That's the only reason why, can't make a complete take on that. But for right now, I think 11 wins would be something that the Dolphin fans expect. We really don't care about how, you downgraded and you got mid guys and mid-aged guys to, Dolphin fans don't really care. We want to see, particularly Tua, be able to lift the team in the fourth quarter in playoff games or against above 500 teams. So that's what really fans care about when it comes down to it.
All right, so you're saying 11. Joe, what do you think?
That was exactly my number, was 11. And I feel like if we can do 11 with what we have this year, we're kind of springboarding into better days.
All right, that's good. That's fair. So you're saying about 11. Cody, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know the number. I haven't really looked at
You
our
can give a spread. You can give a loose spread.
enough to get in the playoffs. 10, 11. I mean, if we won 13, 12, that's awesome. I wouldn't be surprised. You just never know how the season shakes out when you catch
That's so true. You don't know who's getting injured. Who would have thought Rodgers was going down on the fourth play last year?
I mean, yeah.
If football's crazy.
We got to play Buffalo. We don't know what Buffalo's going to look like. It's just you just never know. All I'm looking for is the progress. I can literally be level-headed enough to go, this doesn't happen in a month. This doesn't sometimes happen in a year. This organization's been a dumpster fire, and we're coming out of it. Like I'm not all or nothing. I have a high enough IQ to understand there's a huge gray area, and there's something called progress. If we kind of macro out instead of always just in the micro of everything that's going on, we're trending. Scope out, we're trending, and I want to see Tua make the improvements. He's going to be scrambling. He's going to be off script more. He just knows what to attack. I just think the progress is going to be there. That's what I'm looking for. And the offense to change. Yeah, we want a power run, but I want to see Tua be able to just dump it down. Brady just dumped it down his whole damn career because he had an outlet, and I feel like Tua just didn't have an outlet all the time. It just seemed like things had to be.
Well, why do you think? Why do you think that? Okay, so why would you think that the outlet wasn't there too often? Was he missing it, or you didn't see it enough?
I think Mike McDaniel is a genius, but green. If that can really be kind of at the same time, like, and I think he's smart enough to go. Oh, I mean, Kurt Warner made videos like, "Hey, look at this. This guy's struggling with some of the basic things," and then with Tua getting a quarterback coach to be like, "Hey, guess what? Here's 5 things that I tell every guy to do to be like Tom Brady." Whatever, you know what I mean? Find your outlet. Learn when to scramble a little better. Take off, slide. You don't have to stay in the pocket. Things like that.
Someone's breaking up. We got interference. Yeah, I think that was it, bro. You're back in.
I wanted to ask you, Curtis, is it if Alf wants to come up, if I share the link that you sent to me to him, would he be able to come up too?
Oh, sure. I didn't know if he wanted it now, though. I got to be like, you wanted Alf? Did you want to come on now? I can send it to you. I didn't know if you need to like prep or something. I don't know.
I think I can send it to him on Twitter.
Go for it. Well, don't send it on Twitter. He can email me, Alf. If you want to come on, brother, you're obviously welcome. Just anybody who wants to just email me now, and I'll send you the link. That's what I did with Joe before.
Yeah, replies quick.
I'm a really like I'm like a one. Hey, John, what's going on? I'm like a. It's hard for me to multitask, so it's hard for me to process all that stuff. So if you guys want to, I don't know if it was the future or whatever. Joe just emailed me, so that was like the easiest thing. Just email me, and I can handle that. I'll put the link in there or something.
Right.
But I want to say, Sharif, did you have a question? You said something.
Yeah. As far as
my brain got lost.
Yeah. As far as the 11 wins, and I just think at this point. Whether it was a soft rebuild or fans right now are at the point where, look, Buffalo, Josh Allen still runs the AFC. And even though we had 4 weeks left with 10 wins, we could have gotten to 14 wins, but we just blew the whole thing down the stretch, right? So it's possible we can get more than 11 wins. And we were there before. But I just think that with this soft reset, like fans don't care about that, and we just you mentioned Tua is planning on getting a little slimmer. He's gonna lose weight and work on his athleticism.
Yeah,
I remember tweeting that to his name is Proform on Twitter, but he's the trainer for Tua Tagovailoa. And I told him, yes, you worked on his cadence, you worked on his pocket presence, you obviously worked on his hip getting healed in his first year, and then you worked on his deep ball in the 4th year, right? Now it's time for him to lose some weight and work back on the agility that we saw in Alabama, because I don't care what people tells me. It's going to be plays that you're going to have to make if nothing is there, right? And what we've seen is if Tua can't make any plays, he either ducks, moves around, and then takes a sack, or dare I say, like what Big O says, just throw the ball away into the stands. And I never will agree with that, because the upper echelon ones take over games. Taking over a game is just gaining the first down so you can continue to drive. And if Tua isn't able to do that, whether he's too big or he's too muscular, or he's too, with Tua doing what he's doing now with his new QB coach, it shows me that he cares about using his legs again. And no one can tell me that Tua is not an athletic quarterback.
Yeah,
he is an athletic quarterback. Because if you look at his readings coming out of college, one of the scouting reports on him, one of the first scouting reports on Tua is his quickness and his off-script ability.
He'd hold the ball forever in college. That's why he kept getting hurt.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He kept getting hurt because of that.
All of these people telling me that he's
played it safe.
You know, he's a pocket quarterback. He's a pocket accurate. Get out of here with that. He's an athletic quarterback who's honed in on his accuracy. He's still athletic. That's how I think of Tua.
Yeah, Jason, and after he gets this big contract, he should open it up a lot more, because, you know, this last year, if he got hurt last year, what would his contract value be? So this last year, I mean, the goal really is to get through the year, throw it away if you have to, take the sack, do all the things Sharif was just talking about, just to make it through the year and get the contract. Once he gets the contract, he's bound to open it up. We're also bound to get some tight end action in here to try to give him some more targets, to your point, Mr. Success.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I got lost over there. Too many things going on.
No, you're all right.
I want to get in there for a second. Now, if you can go back and you can check my evaluations from 2021 in the offseason, I did 3 hours of prepping for Tua to go over his injury, hip injury, my evaluations. I think they all pretty much panned out. And for me, though, if you go look, you look at Joe Burrow, he had a pretty poor offensive line. He was asked to do a lot of stuff to hold the ball late. I think Joe Burrow is better quarterback for that style of play, but you could see the brutality that he's taken. But if you look at some of these other quarterbacks, they all had quality run games or quality offensive lines. And even guys like Josh Allen, who are extremely mobile, he installed the running attack with his own legs, and then he was beaten up. To me, there is no quarterback that has been asked to carry an offense with an offensive line like this. I coined the 45th best offensive line in football. I don't think, and this is just my take, you can disagree, but I don't think people really understand what the offensive line does and what it's like to operate behind a poor offensive line. As an example of a running back, Philip Lindsay with the Broncos. He came here. People said, look what he did with the Broncos. He's awesome. He's going to do this. And I said, guys, he had almost 5 yards or something like that. It was really ridiculous, yards before contact. But then he came here and he sucked. He was gone. He was out of the league. And to have a quarterback that has not had a running game, yes, we had bulk yards last year, and that's great against bad teams. But if you run a 60-yard play and then you got a bunch of negative plays or plays that put you off schedule, it doesn't mean that much. It doesn't mean the same amount. You could see with Barry Sanders how that worked out, and he was Barry Sanders. You need consistency. It's better to get a bunch with this, especially with this kind of pass game, a bunch of 4-yard carries or 5-yard carries and grind out those
first down.
Listen, when in the NFL, everybody is good. And when you get off schedule as a passing unit, I don't know how. I'd love to check the stat of what we were on third down. We were third and long all day, almost all the time, especially against good teams. And it just becomes more and more difficult when you have a limited menu that the defense is preparing for and you're off schedule. And then, obviously we had injuries on the offensive line. Sometimes our receivers were out. But it is very difficult to succeed. And it's not to take away any responsibility by Tua. But again, I'll say Dan Marino. He had Dwight Stevenson in front of him, and he had his best years. Dwight went down, and he pitted for a few years until Webb and Sims came back. And then his entire career was hindered by not having a real run game. And if Marino, who's light years better than Tua, he is, as I don't think there's too many people going to say that. He's got, maybe Tua's got a little bit of quicker release, but Dan Marino's in that same area.
Dan's
Accuracy, arm strength, a height, even personality, and he couldn't do it. I don't understand why we are, even with you put Odell in there or this guy Worthy, why are we going to this style of offense that didn't succeed with Marino and then trying to get Tua to push it through? To me, Tua is more beneficial for him to have an offensive line that would allow him not to have to throw so quickly. We weren't throwing quickly because we wanted to sometimes, but most of it was because we understand that we had to get it out at a certain time and protection would break down. And then you add a run game for him to play action off. And if you understand, if you could see him now, that his ability to release that football gets those pocket passes within the gap. But if you added play action, legitimate play action RPO with a tight end, he would be able to do the same thing, but with guys biting. People aren't really biting. And so for me, if you get Odell Beckham in here or this guy Worthy, and you have these three unbelievable receivers, Tua's going to do well in a pass game, but it's going to put so much on the table for him to carry. And then if he doesn't do it, it's going to be all about him or McDaniel. Whereas if we just had a successful offensive line, a semi-decent, consistent run game, then you could really judge and evaluate Tua much better, because even Mahomes has brought in a run game. He's got the three best combo interior offensive line in the game of football. They added tight end play to Allen. They brought in Torrance at the guard position. And all around the league, you're seeing teams, add pieces to this offensive line, create a run game and tight end. We're choosing a different road. It'll be very interesting as it plays out, but I don't know if that is the most conducive environment for Tua, and not to take away his responsibility. So for me, I don't know. I think we're going to be, I've said 9 to 11 wins for the last 2 years. And I'm saying that again, 3 years, actually, I've said that back in the 21 with Flores. I'm saying it again now, 9 to 11. I think people want to say that the Jets are going to suck, and they could. I mean, they got old guys, but it's going to be a tougher challenge to get through them. I don't think the Bills, that realtor says the Bills are, I don't think the Bills are done in any way, shape, or form. They brought some guys back. They got a lot of picks. I think they're going to be a very tough team. I think the Patriots are not going to be as good as us, but they're going to be kind of a nippy team that's going to maybe annoy us more than they did with Belichick. I think it's going to be hard to get through this AFC East. And then if we don't have so let's say Tehran goes down, the black hole that will be created. With those, I don't want to say it, but I'm saying you got to be realistic. So
I know.
I'm sorry. Tehran's my guy. I hate this.
But we're not done. We're not done building the roster, right?
Yeah,
we're not done.
If we can get a good guard or a good tackle that could fill in that hole for a game or two, and we can get that DT inside and add that physicality, I'll feel a lot better. But we need physicality, and I don't think the quarterback position determines victory. He's the icing on a cake. If everybody's doing their job, he's the one who gets you there, and in those clutch moments makes that big play. But he can't drive an offense and a team to a Super Bowl if the supporting cast isn't there. And offensive line, to me, makes the NFL world go around. So I say 9 to 11 wins. I don't think the Bills are done, and I think this offensive line is still it's the foundation. I've played my time of football, and I've run behind good offensive lines and bad offensive lines. And when you do that, man, and yeah. So I don't know. So I want to hold on to that. I think that we, as fans, we should be excited. I mean, if you had Odell Beckham, you had Waddle and Hill, or you got this guy Worthy. I mean, you could do so many things. You cover 2 is going to be intense. You couldn't even really run. You'd have to run cover 3 against us. And
then Jonnu too.
And Jonnu on top of that. It would be very, very difficult. But again, if you can't run inside, then you got guys that are playing those zones. I don't know. So I want Dolphins fans to not get carried away, not because I don't want them to be happy, but we've got to wait to see. We've got to understand to evaluate fairly because, if Greer builds right and Tua doesn't come through, then Greer gets the blame. But if he doesn't deserve it, he shouldn't get it. Same token, if it's the team's not built right and then Greer didn't build it right, he made mistakes, you can't blame McDaniel, you can't blame Tua. You got to blame the right guys and help the media focus on that because it's fair, it's honest, it's the best way to get your team to where you want them to be, to kind of put the right feet in the fire, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, let me get back to some of these comments, guys. Say whatever whatever you guys think about that or another topic. I'm gonna go through the comments here. Get the two things at once.
I think I would just like to say about Tua and then hooked up, Joe. I think I might have heard you going. I'll let you go. In no way is Tua the problem on this team. I'll go to my grave and say Tua's not the problem. Can he be better? Hell yeah. Is there a lot of things he needs to do to grow? You bet. But really, his journey has just started. People want to say this is like a finished product here, man. This is excuses, whatever, context. He's played 2 years with Mike. 1 year, he got his bell rung the entire year, and it was not a good year. And the guy led the league in passing, and he just keeps showing growth. Whether you like the guy or not, he gets better every year, and he's already good enough to take us where we need to go. It's a matter of consistency in those moments. Have you seen him do it? Yeah, you've seen him do it. So he just needs to be consistent. It's not an issue of ability. And he keeps growing. He just is going to show it in those big moments. Like the guy's not afraid. He doesn't crumble. He's just had some bad play at the worst time possible, and he wasn't alone. It's a Miami problem. The fourth quarter, games that matter on the road, that's a Miami problem, and it's been that way for a while. It's not just to us. So get him an O-line.
I believe that if you get him an average offensive line and you have a semi-decent run game, then it's really on him. But if you have a substantial failing on any unit, especially the offensive line, it's very hard to evaluate even McDaniel because, when your offensive line is able to do multiple things, it opens up the playbook for the head coach. It opens up what can happen with the quarterback. Like we were talking, Chris is saying here that he audibled a ton, but we also heard that audibles weren't possible. That's what Tua said because there's so much motion you can't really. Let me have a second. Sharif in here. So. We got somebody cap for life. Whoa. Hold on. We got somebody's giving money, and I'm a cheap German, and I'm appreciative of that. So we got to stop. The 1 year we need no more excuses. I feel the season is a window year. We're going to have a lot of excuses. Great. Yet I agree. I think I'm concerned for a few things. I feel like last year, the failure, we had the built-in excuse for injuries, and I think it was a fair excuse for a certain reason, but that those injuries kind of were exasperated by the choices we made. And so whatever happened last year, the collapse and everything, it was like a get-out-of-jail-free card. Well, then this year, this is really the last window of that talent, and now we got all these picks for next year, and people can say, well, whatever happens this year, we got the picks. We need to make something good happen this year because – okay, so if we don't do well this year, then what is it? Is it next year, the next year, or do we need to not following year to see how the talents play out? I agree on that, Captain. I think that we had unprecedented amount of picks, and I think Greer did some good stuff with that. I think he there was a lot of dysfunction through that and problems, but we should have had way more success. There's other teams out there that have built with less stuff, and they're now in the picture. It's time. This is our time this year. 24 is a year. I don't say we have to win the Super Bowl, but certainly we got to show ourselves to be consistent throughout, not collapse, win a playoff game or two to really have that confidence for next year. So I'm in agreement with that. What do you guys think?
I don't necessarily think we have to. I know this is going to not be popular, but this year I don't think we have to win a playoff game for me to continue to be a happy fan. There's like Mr. Success was saying, we have Tua's young, McDaniel's green and still learning. If we keep doing what we've been doing and just swapping around to try to find the silver bullet for the quick win in 2 years or 3 or whatever, and it's over, then we're not going to get there. So I'm ready to go ahead and see success, see Tua build, see McDaniel continue to evolve a coaching staff and develop players and develop. I mean, we started with the 32nd offensive line when he took over 2 years ago, and he was making it better. And Butch Berry is even making it better. And we can get to where we have an average offensive line, a decent offensive line. And then we're going to keep evolving. I don't agree that we have a window. I don't agree with windows. The cap is always going up. We're always going to maneuver. There's always going to be options. I mean, your window is when you're maybe on a rookie contract, but once that rookie contract's over, there's not a whole bunch of options. I mean, we either got to do a kind of crazy action and try to get rid of Tua and get a rookie in here and work off a rookie contract because our window's shutting. We can't do that. I don't agree with the window theory at all.
Well, I think that for me, the window is the talent composition. When you build, you have a certain amount of money. You have a certain amount of rookies that you've picked well on, and they're uncheap contracts. And you had this pool of talent, and that pool of talent has been come together. And then as each guy succeeds, they become expensive and then they fall off. And then you have to replenish that talent. And so you get this talent window. And so we had the talent window last year. Last year's team is more talented than this year's team. And you're going to get a period now, like right next year, I think we have 30 guys signed and $40 million over the cap. And so then you got to sign Long Jr., you got to sign Tui, you got to sign Waddle, you got to sign Holland, and you got to sign Phillips. And then you got some guys that you like that again. Now, then Ramsey will be a year older, and Hill will be a year older. And so when you overview a team, you're kind of trying to see what this team looks like with the young talent and the aged talent and the cap salary. And then you get this grouping of like peak. And so we really kind of hit our peak last year because, you got Waddle now who's going to make a full big boys contract. He's going to go to 25 and 30. Holland's going to get 20. Phil, so it's very hard to maximize unless you're hitting on your draft picks. And Greer's done some good things, but these last 2 draft classes, they've been kind of quiet. HN did really good, but he was injured. He's going to have to stay healthy. Cam's going to have to stay up. And you're going to have to try to find something from Tyndall and EZ because you can't, EZ could take that money that Odell Beckham's paying. So instead of paying Odell 10, you could pay EZ's $1 million, and that allows more talent. Same with Tyndall. You brought in guys, you brought in Brooks, and you brought in the other guy, Walker, and you're paying them free agent contracts, but you had Tyndall, you spent that pick on, and he's cheap. And so it's this, we're going to have a lot of picks next year, and you're going to have to hit on those picks, and you can re-inflate the market, but it's going to depend on you doing well with your draft picks this year and then next year. So I kind of feel like that window is kind of closed a little bit. It might re-inflate next year, but that's my take, if it makes sense.
Didn't we draft Chubb and Hill and Ramsey? Are those guys we drafted essentially? All right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Thank you, Jason. You got a question or something, brother? Yeah, something, man. I really appreciate that. Guys, I really appreciate it.
Jason's a smart guy. I've been listening to him in a few different chats. He goes on Inside the NFL, and Jason knows what's up.
I appreciate it. I really do, guys. All that you do, I love to do this. I really love to do this, and I'm so grateful. And the cash is nice too, though, so I'm thankful for that, Jason. You're awesome. I appreciate that. But if you need a question or something, if you want to come on.
We trade for him, right, Christopher? Didn't we trade for Chubb? Give up a first-round pick for him.
We gave a lot.
We gave up draft capital.
He says he's a free agent. That's why I was saying that.
Yeah, I just think look, Greer's going. I don't think Greer's going anywhere. I think he's going to be here next year, the year after that, and I think 26 maybe. If we crash and burn this year, next year, then maybe 26. I just don't see Ross at his age going, hey, you know what? Because he's got a lot of dealings with Greer. Yeah. It's a big piece of the puzzle. And in your mid-80s, is he going to go start again fresh? So I think Greer's here for the next 3 seasons, maybe 2 if it's really bad. 26, I think, would be the first window, but I don't know. So, we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But, we got to see some kind of success. We got to see some kind of success.
We're a few hogs away. We're just a few hogs away from you being happy, Curtis, from a lot of the fan base being happy. If you're just a few hogs away, don't you think that's a pretty damn good spot to be? You don't need a quarterback. In my opinion, you need a few hogs, and a lot of people are going to simmer down and be happy about this team. That's a spot to be in, man.
You're totally, totally right, but it's that so close but so far because, if we understand the game of football as just like chess, you control the line of scrimmage, you control the center of the board, the center of the field, and then as you control that, everything ripples out back and deep to be easier because as you suck guys in to manage that A gap, then it creates space in the peripheral. But if you're not able to get guys in there, then they can sit in the peripheral. And then even we saw last year, because Hill and Waddle are phenomenal, us get clogged, us get slowed down, them rush 4 guys, and then still have to throw the football ultra fast. And so yes, I think Grier has done a good job. I think he's overpaid for plenty of players. I think that he's missed on a bunch of players. I think he's struggled on the offensive line. I thought he did a good job bringing Connor in. I thought he did a good job of obviously drafting Hunt. I understood the roll of the dice on Tehran. It was risky. But there were guys along the way he could have picked up for cheap, and he didn't have to do that. And he missed that. And that's my concern. That Grier obviously has talents, but if it doesn't rectify this offensive line, then you're going to be soft. And then you're going to get the letdowns because that's what the Dolphins have been known for is collapses and fading away. And people want to say, well, it's the quarterback and it's this and it's that. It's the offensive line. The offensive line is what creates the foundation for everything. The offensive line allows you to run the football and to have time of possession to rest your defense. It protects the quarterback. It opens lanes for the running back. So the offensive line is not just a bunch of big bodies, especially now with the lack of 2-a-days in practice. And so I just think that, yes, I agree with you, Cody, 1,000%. But that difference is a whole lot difference in the world. We could have had Creed Humphreys, but we spent a second and third on Eichenberg. And if we had Creed Humphreys and Zach Tom and Morgan Moses, we'd be going to the Super Bowl like there's nobody's business with this talent. But the coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Let's hit the draft this time.
Let's get into the draft. I'm going to answer some questions.
Let's pray that Grier has delegated the O-line scouting and drafting and decision-making to Butch Berry and Mike and Frank Smith and said, you guys just tell me who to draft and I'll be fine.
Do you guys like Sweat? Who's your D interior guy that you want on this team?
That's a Sharif question right there, too. That guy.
Sharif, what do you think, brother? Did I put him on? He's not here. All right. Does anybody know? I like Sweat. Now, some people out there, if you're a draft Knicks or whatever, a little bit, Byron Murphy II, been doing studying on him. Looks like the Dolphins are really into Murphy II and Sweat. I think that this guy, Byron Murphy, could be really special. But my concern, my wonderment is PFF gave Grier and the Dolphins A+ during the offseason. This offseason, Chris, the last offseason.
I think this one. How do you grade it this quick? But
Oh, you know what? You can't. But that's some really good. I thought he made some really good moves this offseason. I really think he did. I think with what he had
out of a disaster.
You thought it was a disaster?
No, I said he maneuvered us out of a disaster.
Nice.
The plane was heading to the ground, and then everybody was jumping ship, and it looked like, oh my God, we're about to smash on the ground. And he pulled it up and did a great job of. And he knew what was going on. I mean, we were seeing it and freaking out, but. Honestly, I stopped worrying about the cap about 3 years ago. I used to be like, oh, my God, the cap this, the cap that, and following it all, and what are we going to do? And then magic happens, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care about the cap anymore.
Yeah, we were 60 million.
Somebody's
under,
saying
right?
the
Or
trade is
over.
finalized. Thirds. Who got Snead?
Oh, no way.
Who got Snead? We got Snead.
That can't be us. That wouldn't make sense.
No. Who got Snead?
Watch it.
Who got Snead? Anybody tell me who got Snead? I'm behind.
Titans. Yep, Titans.
Yep, Titans. Trade for Snead.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. I like that quarterback. I was like, Alf, I keep lying.
Me too.
McDaniel, and by extension, believes in controlling and dominating outside the hashes. It's a Shanahan philosophy on steroids. It is. But we'll see how that plays out. But Shanahan, he believed in controlling the inside of the hashes on the cutback. The half the threat for the edge running comes from the threat of the cutback. And when you have a threat of a cutback, it limits the guy's pursuit to the edge. It holds them so they don't drift as quickly. For us, if you notice the beginning of the year, the linebackers were lining on edge and shooting inside, and they were getting capped a lot. But then as the tape kind of developed, the linebackers and edge guys were blitzing straight or out and forcing the cutback and limiting the edges. And so Shanahan, he really did. Even if you look now and you watch the Super Bowl, how did they get that first half victory or being ahead? They ran inside with an equal balance outside. But then they abandoned the inside runs and they started getting to the edges because they weren't as successful as they wanted. And then it allowed the Chiefs to pin their ears and kind of take away that edge stuff. And so Shanahan does believe in the edge stuff, but a critical principle in the edge runs outside zone is the cutback. That threat of the cutback is what puts a dilemma on the linebackers and the linemen. And when you don't have that and you don't fear the inside, then when you see all our pocket posts and our flies, our screens and our edge runs, you can cover all that stuff with a very similar kind of defense because you're not afraid of the inside stuff. So I agree. But I think that the inside presence, and I think Brewer might be able to help with that, but we'll see. But I think you got to have threat in the inside. Because even look at, the last team to really do that was the Falcons, but they had Mack inside at center in his prime. They played in the dome. They played against dome teams. And that's another thing. The outside zone. Yeah. Oh, thanks, bro. Thanks. Wow. That's big time. Casey's going to really have to do something good with those picks, man. So I'm behind on there. If you don't have that inside presence to get guys off the ball and get the cutback, it becomes a problem. And then if you can't run a little inside zone, then it becomes a problem in the red zone. Because when you're in a red zone, there's not that deep threat, and the box gets crunched, and then the edges are easy to take care of because you don't have the leverage of the threat of deep. And that's some of the reasons why we had problems running inside and in the red zone. And I think it's critical. I really do.
I heard that OBJ, and I haven't vetted this, but it's from a dude, I believe. OBJ hasn't ever dropped a red zone. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And I love Hill, but we know he's had some big drops, and we need a guy that's going to catch.
Oh, that hurt us a lot. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that was a really cool stat. And he's got targets. You can't say they're not targeting the dude. Tua's going to get it to him. If we get that guy, I just think that's one more thing.
Yeah, if we can get him for the right price, that would
be. Price, yeah.
People are, like they said, taking pay cuts to come to our organization, and it's not just the weather. They wouldn't be coming here just for the heat. I mean, the weather here is brutal. It's not the weather, and it's not the city. You have city life everywhere. It's our organization. It's exactly the way we graded really high with the players. We're a great place to be.
I heard Tua wasn't. I heard nobody wanted to play with Tua, right? Guys didn't want to come here and have their career die with Tua. So I'm glad that's not looking like it right now. But
yeah, I think that's ridiculous. I want to be clear. I've always supported to because I see what he can do, but I don't know how high he can take us. You know, I'm not here to say that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think the guy's got talent. I think he's a good guy. I think he's had a very sloppy build around him for many, many reasons. His inception, his install, his support has been very sloppy and incongruent. But I don't know if he's the guy to take us to the top. We'll see. But I think he's definitely a talent, and he can definitely show something. And even if you follow the Breeze timeline, Breeze was not Breeze until like year 4 or 5.
Good point.
And
Manning couldn't win a big game, right? Manning
no,
couldn't win in the playoffs.
That's why that's why they went with Rivers over him.
Light year stats, they said for Manning. Was it like Star Wars stats? But he couldn't win when the regular season ended. It's like, yeah, he can if you get the right team. Anybody can with the right team. So
that's funny. Eichenberg again. Eichenberg's going to be playing starting this year. It'd be very interesting. You know, Eichenberg and Jackson, if they can resolve their ability to handle power. Chris was here. I'm sorry. Chris, you had a question in the comments. All right. So, yeah, it does. But somebody was brought up before I get into that, Chris, somebody also brought up that you don't get that tax exemption on your salary, and you don't get that tax exemption on away games. So there is a sizable portion that you get a break from, but it's not what I thought originally. I thought it was like the whole deal. I'm like, how could anybody not come here? It's like, so I don't know. I'm not really a business guy. That's my wife.
Chris, people will really play with Tua. I can tell Chris is just like, no, man, it's because of they'll play with them, man.
But I wanted to get Chris was talking to me in the comments, and I really love the comments because he brought something up about power, and he was asking me to like kind of refine my take on it, the ability to handle power. And I thought about it all week, and I learned a lot. I was studying and really thinking about it, so I appreciate it. So when in the run game and in the pass game, you have to handle power at some point during the game. So if you're a guy and you're on the offensive line and you have a guy next in front of you, now that guy could be 360 pounds, 320 pounds. He could be bigger than you. He could be stronger than you. And so you're going to have to move him. Now, if you're the biggest guy around, like Larry Allen, it doesn't matter. But if you're a normal Joe, you have to move that guy somehow. There's many ways to do it. If you get out of your stance faster than him and you hit him with inertia before he gets to move, it doesn't matter how big he is. You've created a momentum boost that can amplify whatever strength you have. Another way is getting under the pads. Another way is just cheating a little bit, being vicious and beating a guy through the course of a game. Another way is a double. And that's all these ways. Just, obviously if you have the raw strength, there are many ways to counter the power of a larger opponent. And that's critical in the run game for any guy on the offensive line. Now, in the pass game, you're going to be facing guys that are going to be using power. And some of the guys on the edge are going to get a running start. So they're going to have that momentum boost on you. And so even if you're a pretty strong guy, you got to deal with guys in with heavy inertia, or you can get guys that are just really strong and big. And so somehow you have to deal with them. Now, the way you want to deal with power is you have to have good hands. When someone gets into you, if you'll watch, it's taught at Pee Wee leagues, but it doesn't really seem to follow its way into the pros. And so when a guy comes at you, you'll see guys, they just put their hands on a guy. When you hit a guy and pop him, you're taught at an early age, you pop those hands out like a punch, and you're delivering inertia, and you're offsetting the inertia of your opponent, and you're jarring that guy. And when you jar him upwards, you're bringing his leverage up. And so there's a technique way of offsetting. Sometimes the hand to the face. So there's all kind of ways. Hitting his shoulder. I did a clip of Brewer. He was in a double, and he struggled with doubles a lot. But on this particular play, I think he was going against Pierce, and he targeted the outside shoulder of Pierce, and he rotated him like he was on a spin top, and he had a beautiful release to the second level. And so there's many ways to handle power. Okay, I'm going to answer that in a second. But however you slice it, if you cannot handle power is the base form of protection. It's the easiest. The worst pass rusher in the world, if he's big, he could charge at you and he could bull rush you. And there's another, linebackers, they can come shooting at you, and they might not have agility, but they're going to hit you with their full momentum. If you can't handle that, you will struggle. And the growth in power from college to the pros, the two player sets, is massive divide. And when a player comes into the pros, they can grow in their ability to handle power, but that is like one of the smallest spectrum changes. You'll see that very, very few guys, they go from a guy who struggles with power to a guy who's awesome against power. It very rarely happens. And so for me, in my evaluation grade, that's very key. Now, hold on a second. You said something else. Who can get back around overcommit? Yeah, the overcommitting part is, so when you do a double, your job is either double and drive out, and your job is to blow out the guy. And then you have guys behind you, but your responsibility is not the second level. They just want to, it could be a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. And so they're aiming at certain yardages on that particular play. So your job could be double, blow them out. But more often than not, your job is to get into that double, and it's either swap and switch. So you get into the double, and then the guy you're working with, he's passing you off to him, and then he goes to the next level, or you're getting into him, passing him off to your other guy and getting to the second level. Problem is, if you don't have enough power, and it doesn't mean you don't shoot out right enough, your hands don't pop as hard as they need to, you don't hit with the right accuracy, whatever, then you have to overcommit. And then when you get your momentum going into one direction, you attach to that other guy. And when you attach to him, now you're slow to get off to your second guy. And that's sometimes what happens in the pass protection. Guys are chasing a guy and they're leaning, and then they wrap around on the stunt and they're left. But the same thing happens in the run game. You hit that guy, and either your guard's not good enough, he hasn't done a good job to set himself up or set you up, or you don't have the power to kind of give like 80%. So you're not overcommitted, so you can get to that second level. And with Brewer, I saw that a lot. Sometimes he had beautiful targeting, and he would get in that double, and he would destroy the guy, and then he had the speed to get to that second level. But more often than not, and it was only against the elite talent. I'm not saying against your regular Joes, but I'm talking about the Wilkins, the Sealer, the Pierce, and the kid on the Panthers. My memory sucks now. Yeah, what was his name?
To it. I can't think of his name right now.
No, it's the other not Williams. I can't remember. The really good DT on there. I can't remember right now. But so with these guys, he had to go all out, and he would get attached, and he couldn't get to that second level. And then it neutered his primary ability. And so that's why I said you want to have, if he had a strong guard, a really dominating guard, he wouldn't have to give so much. But it's like a relationship. If that guard next to you is not really great or not powerful, then you know that you got to help him out a little bit more because you've got all these reps together. Derek Brown. Thank you, Jason. And so it's like a superhero team, I've said. So if you have Brewer, he's kind of like, a Luke Cage, or if you want to even say like a Spider-Man type. But if you had like a Hulk or a Thing next to him, he wouldn't have to give so much, and he would have an easier time to get to that second level where he does much better. But if you have a guy like Wynn, or you have a guy like Eichenberg next to him who suffers with power, they're going to struggle to control their guy. And that's going to mean he's going to have to give more. And he's going to get attached more. That's why Connor was so good when he was paired with Hunt. Their skills, they were a perfect team. I mean, Hunt was a guy who could dominate one-on-one. I mean, he wasn't elite, but he was really good. And then Connor had it too. They were really close. Well, Connor was like the big, strong guy, but with a little bit more speed. And then the little bigger guy was Hunt. And they could dominate guys. They could work a double, and they wouldn't have to give 1,000%. And then you would get the peel to second level. That happened in the Patriots game where Mostert had that big touchdown. They just moved the nose tackle, or DT, I can't remember right now, off the spot like he was gone. He was obliterated. And Hunt was like laughing into the second level, and he isolated his guy 3 yards down the field. And then Mostert just took it wide open. But it's the combination of talents and not having to get attached. And so that's my concern with with Brewer and the guards next to him, if that makes sense. I hope I did a better job. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're calling you open. Yeah, you can look. You can if you're tenacious, you might not block that guy on the first play, second play, but after a while, you start getting under his skin. You start annoying him. You start sticking with him, and you can wear him out. That's one way to handle it. Technique, speed, raw power, cheating, all those things are tools in your toolkit to handle your opponent. But whatever tool you use, it has to be able to handle that power. Like, so Eichenberg has not been able to handle power. He can't. He fails at power. Dieter, same thing. Jackson, he's a little bit better at times, but he gets blown up. So whatever you want to use, however you want to do it, you got to handle a powerful opponent, a more powerful opponent, a bigger opponent somehow. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Some you can learn. Some you're just naturally like a Larry Allen who's benching 700 pounds. But whatever you slice it, on the offensive line, you've got to be able to move guys that are bigger and stronger. And the easier you move them, the easier it is for you to do different assignments and to make the thing go. But if you can't move bigger guys, then you got to have, if you remember in 21, everybody was doubled. We doubled the guard and center and the tackle and the guard all day long. Everything was doubled. And then when you double two guys on one, somebody's free. And when that free guy comes in, then your running back gets blown up and, then he sucks. So the less doubles you have to have and the shorter amount of time you have to spend on those doubles, that means the more guys in blocking and the more space that's going to be created or opportunity for space. But if you can't handle power, then you'll be forced to have doubles and help, and then that's going to drain the whole blocking assignment, if that makes sense. So I hope if I didn't, just comment me and I'll try to answer better next time. BB. Yeah. A guy I talk to all the time. He likes BB. I like BB too. The only concern is he's got a little bit of shorter arms, and some people are concerned about him in the heavy zone stretch. Now, but there's many, I don't want to get into too much because I'm going to blab.
You all right?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Alf was saying something. Alf was saying something. Don't. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to do that. Sorry, I was supposed to put that up. Sorry. Anyway, I'm a monkey. Anyway, so BB, I like BB a lot. To me, my philosophy for BB, you could do that, and there's many blocking assignments that you can create. So you can have a zone stretch, say to the left. And that's your strong zone stretch side. But then to your right, you can have zone stretch. You're going to run it. But then you know that you got your big guy there and you can pop some inside zone, or you can create cutback holes based off your one big guy who might not be so great in zone stretch. That's kind of what Hunt used to do. And you're not going to have Connor there, but I like BB, but I'm not sure if what we're trying to do is going to he's going to be able to facilitate what we want to do. I think that they are leaning heavy into finesse. I think they're leaning heavy into pop runs. I think they're going to lean heavy into a big third wide receiver. And they're going to try to pass their way, use their finesse. And it could happen because
Quick screens to Jonnu. Yeah.
Yeah, screen. Look, if Jonnu's getting those screen plays, those run plays, the trick plays, that means Hill and Waddle aren't, and they're small. And that's good. It's going to keep them fresh. Yeah. And if you look at route combinations, you can run that pocket post we like to run with Jonnu, who's big, and he'll take those hits, and he'll hurt the defense. You got to remember, there's pain involved here, guys. When you're hitting a Tyreek, you're not getting hurt. You're loving. He's getting hurt. But you put that pocket post with a Jonnu Smith and you're hitting 250 pounds, now you're wearing down that second. But as you do that, you can do zone busters where you get the fly and the post on one side and with Jonnu, and then you got the fly with Hill. But then now you got Waddle and Hill on both sides, and they can create all kinds of – they could be doing the deep stuff. They could be doing the posts, the flies, and you still got your pocket post. Yeah. And if you have that talent, then you're slowing that down because you can get that ball out so quick because Tua has anticipation. He has a quick release.
And
so
H-hand to the flat. All of that with H-hand to the flat.
But on the downside, that works great all the way up to about the 20-yard line. But once you get into that red zone, they don't fear the deep, and then you get a compression of the secondary, and it makes it harder to get those plays off. And that's why the inside run is so critical, because it gets the safety creeping up. It gets the linebackers holding for a second. But if they're not fearing the deep, they can compress. And that's why we had problems in the red zone, especially against good teams. If you go back and look, you'll see that they knew where we were going to go. They knew our hot spots, and they would cover it. And McDaniel would run inside, and it would get stopped, and people say he doesn't like to call runs, but he knows his talent better than us. So long story short, BB is a good player. I kind of like what I'm seeing. I think he could fit with this, but I don't know if it's going to fit with the philosophy that we want to run. Hooked up Joe, Sharif. I've been talking for a while. Sorry, guys.
Me too. Sorry, guys.
Say whatever you guys want. I've been rambling on for a while.
No, I'm just thinking that what I was just typing in there was that we've been kind of going with scheme over power to kind of make up for our lack of an ability to handle the power. And those are, you have to wonder if keeping our guys in that we drafted when they couldn't handle that is costing us or has been costing us, and can they do it, or do we just need a different body type in there? Do we need to get the strength and talent in there and then build them to be able to have the right technique? Because you can teach technique, but you can't teach the size and
size doesn't get tired. Technique.
Well, that's the one thing I want to. Somehow along the way, we kind of said certain players, their talent is important, but then in other areas, you just can have bodies. The offensive linemen, especially today with the lack of practice and 2 days, their talent is critical. Hill's talent makes him special, but then on the offensive line, these big guys that people, big fat boys, everybody, they have talent too, and they create separation as well. And you're right. There's things you can teach. There's things you could teach that people will learn, and there's things you could teach people won't learn. But at a certain point, everyone's got a different muscle density. Everyone there has a different personality. Everyone has different bone density. Everyone has different reactions. Everyone has different intelligence. And so the talent in the receiving group is legit. But you have to have talent on your offense line. You can't just put bodies there. And so I think that's a really fair comment. It's something we have to keep our mind on. Anyway, I was rambling on. Anything else, guys?
No, thanks for having us on here, Curtis. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I really do.
I appreciate everything, guys. I was a little rambly today. I'm sorry. I think I got a head cold. I was up in mountains for like 2 or 3 days looking for houses with my wife, and she was sad. I was sad. I was sad because I had to walk around and go look at videos for these things always. So I was off this week, guys. I'll be on point more next week. But I appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate you guys coming on. If you want questions you want to answer, ask, really dig into on a show, email me at Curtis at Ace per Head. I really am grateful for what you guys do. If you want to come on, same thing. Come on, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. And I'm gonna work on my handling all the voices and let them speak a little bit more going forward. But I'm grateful for everything, guys. Cody, Sharif, Joe, you guys, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
We got to get Curtis on more podcasts. Omar, Poop, Reason. We got to get Curtis on more podcasts here, man. Dougley, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's legit. He's not up here trying to piss people off or tell them exactly what they want to hear. He's talking real football. So get him on. Come on, guys.
I appreciate that, guys. So anyway, I was supposed to have some film for you guys, Brooks and stuff like that. I'll have that next week. I got all defense stuff that I'm working on. Just like I said, it's been a long week for me. But thank you guys for everything. I'll see you guys next week. I think not this Sunday, but next Sunday, I'm going to start doing a recap of the Dolphins 23 season, all 22 that we can work through and go over, and we can really study the game out so we can learn together, because it is a real science. It's a real difficult process. And if we can be clear on what happened in 23, it will help us with our evaluations in 2024. So anyway, guys, I got to go off and hang out with the wife and console her. So I thank you for all you do. You guys are the best. I will talk to you all soon. See you next week. Thank you again.